Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
We're in the Midwest, here tonight from a 1.5 mile oval, setting up for the final round of the 12 in the playoffs. We're narrowing it down to 8 after last week at Richmond Raceway. One driver locks himself in. Who will it be tonight to put it down for the final 4 going in to these final 2 races? Live from the virtual Kansas Speedway, it's the original Rebels Truck Series live on V-Speed. Golden Suzuki Honda sponsoring this league, putting it on all season long. I'm your host, Bradley Cooper. Kansas Speedway, one of these very unique setups. It'll be a unique venue. Track very much like Homestead, Chicagoland, but has a Darlington line up near that wall. It'll be very difficult for these drivers to pass. Here's a look at your points. There's Tracy and Bame, who had great weeks last week. Bates, who was able to get it done and lock himself in. He'll be not on the grid here tonight. He's actually not taking a time. We still have about 1:53, though, for Dylan Bates to take a lap time. Right now, as it sits, Cody Bame, who had an in and out there with the lead last week at Richmond, led a lot of laps, wasn't quite able to seal the deal, was on an off strategy, and a couple drivers choosing to pit only one time last week. It was enough to get him to the very end of that race, and so a very surprising moment and a top 3 finish there for the driver of the number 9, Mike Veith, who, fantastic job on the strategy call as we set up here for 110 laps. 17 degrees banking, 10 degrees on the front straightaway. Of course, Kansas City, Kansas, opened June 1st, 2001. And tonight's race analysis, 45 mile per hour pit road speed limit with 4 tire sets available, 3 behind the wall, 60% fuel on that iRacing fixed setup. So still a little bit of time here. Got a little bit of an early start. We'll take a look at the schedule. Bristol and Las Vegas for the round of 4. Of course, the Christmas break put everybody on a hiatus. I'm still coming out of it. I hope everyone had a happy holidays and a happy new year. I know that Kansas Speedway currently probably under 3 feet of snow. It's been hitting pretty hard here in the Midwestern states and all the way up through the Ohio Valley. We haven't really caught a break since the beginning of January. So hopefully this sunny, bright summer day that you're seeing here on this setting will come back soon enough. And by the time we hit the end of this season, it'll be on to February and so forth. We will be bringing you more and more racing here on V-Speed. With that, let's take you trackside and get that grid up on the screen, starting on your pole here tonight. As soon as ATVO decides to work, a 30.763 for Eric Tracy. Dylan Bates does elect to take a time. He will start to the outside, about 100th of a second off of Eric Tracy's time. Cody Boehm will start in third position. Corey Bigley in fourth. A lot of top 8 drivers up here in the top 5. Moving on to Elliot Carlson, who was the 09. It was actually the 09 last week. I apologize. Mike Veith was the wrong name on that one. Got the top 3 at Richmond. Looking to capitalize with a 5th place starting spot here tonight. Jeremiah Holt in the number 73 will start in the 6th position. Then row number 4 goes to Garrett Kinder. Stephon Davis in 8th. And rounding out your top 10 here today, it's Mark Cofield and Josh Oswald. Jacob Boehm and Tyler Rice will start in 11th and 12th. 13th position goes to Brandon Wallace. And rounding out your field here tonight, electing not to take a time, it's Mike Veith in the number 9. Aerial shot here of the beautiful Kansas Speedway, the casino there. Just outside the stadium, and actually an infield casino as well. As they get set to pace around now, Eric Tracy will be the command truck to start this one off. Some very familiar names up here in this top 5. A lot of drivers that we saw at Richmond have success. Cody Boehm, Dylan Bates went back and forth for the lead several times. Eric Tracy started on the pole in that race, fell back out of the top 5, was able to recover the day and get back up there. A driver that I'm not seeing out on the racetrack is the 22 machine. Did not make the grid here tonight. It's Corey Bigley in the number 28. Pace truck out of the way. From the Corn State, final race of 8. Green flag is out, and we're live and racing from Kansas. Lead lap number 1. Eric Tracy from the pole is able to do it, but look at Cody Boehm with the power out of turn 2. Gonna look to the inside. This is one of those racetracks that you've got to use it while you got it. Temperature up there on the top of your screen, 96 degrees Fahrenheit. 70 degrees ambient air temperature, but that track very greasy, and it'll only continue to get worse. We'll definitely see these drivers migrate up towards the top as this run progresses. Cody Boehm takes over the lead out of turn 4. He'll lead that time by, but here comes Dylan Bates to try to contest it. You see that high line already starting to work for the 78. Goes up the racetrack. We got a lot of side-by-side back here in the 6th, 7th position. Bates was not able to get that run off the corner. Actually does down the backstretch. He'll get to the inside. And side-by-side out of turn 4, the 78 of Bame pinches the 91 down a little bit there in the middle to try to slow that run down. Will it be enough? Into 1. Another deep dive here for Bates. And he'll hold him at bay. This race will definitely become single file after about lap 10. You're going to see drivers go to that bottom line to try to save tires for as long as they can. But inevitably, the top line's going to be faster after about 10 laps. Just the nature of the beast here at Kansas. You can see Bame and Bates going back and forth, and Bates is a little bit braver on that outside. He's going to get right up on the rear bumper out of turn 2. And what a crossover there, a slide job. Bame's going to lead. I think Bates might have got that lap. I'll have to check the info. He did by a couple 1,000ths of a second. Just enough there to get that lap led. Really tight coming out of turn 2. Had to lift out of the throttle. And that will help Cody Bame pull away a little bit here. Another factor at this racetrack, it's very difficult to run in the wake of a truck in front of you because you're all following each other's lines. The track's getting hotter. You're also getting dirty air. The lack of air on that nose could push that truck up on the exit of these corners, and I think that's what you saw there with Dylan Bates. Just had to get out of the throttle to not hit that outside wall. However, if you're Cody Bame right now, you're probably driving it a little bit deeper into the corner to try to maintain that gap. And that, too, can cause this truck to wash up the racetrack on board with the 78. Way up the racetrack, just tags the wall. Bates is going to get by. Will he pull another slider? He will. Bame elects not to cross it over this time, but gives a bump draft across the tri-oval. Dylan Bates looks like he might have just secured the lead for a few laps. Meanwhile, Eric Tracy, your pole sitter, has Corey Bigley to the inside. Stephon Davis just got passed by the 13 of Garrett Kinder. And outside of this top 2, they've been racing and jostling for positions. Gain 2 for Garrett Kinder, Stephon Davis, and Mark Cofield. And the 97 on the move. Cofield Supply and Service Machine. That sponsor, oh so familiar. It's a big part of B-Speed. And the Overtake iRacing League was live Monday through Wednesday. Mark Cofield, the founder of that company. In 7th spot right now. Stephon Davis to the outside, might have a run out of turn 2. He does, but he gets into the wall, and that's a mistake made for the 60. Definitely could have had the momentum to catch up to Garrett Kinder and get another spot into the top 5. Instead has to settle out, loses all that gain. Have to go back and try to get here through 1 and 2. Quite the gap has shaped up back here to the 10th position, though. Josh Oswald, Tyler Rice. This is for 10th, going back and forth. Remember last week at Richmond, Josh Oswald was tough to pass. He defended the top 5 like his championship depended on it. Now has to contest with Tyler Rice going into 3 and 4. Running a little bit lower line here. Top 3 have accordion back together. Can actually throw Corey Bigley and Garrett Kender just off the edge of this battle. You gotta wonder if Bates and Payne maybe went up and used their stuff up too early, got up to the high line too soon. For some of these drivers behind them running that bottom could prevail. Saving those tires a little bit longer before you go to that high line. You can see the difference here in the drive off out of 2. And a big mistake there. 3 trucks into the wall. Tracy, Bigley, and Kender, all 3 follow each other up there. But Tracy just barely brushes it actually off of that safer barrier. Got a run to the inside of Cody Bame. Will he be able to complete this pass? It's going to be tough this late in the run. Bame backs off on the entry of the corner, and the 67 gets by. 4/10 of a second here. Bates calmly looks back. This is what we saw at Richmond. Take over the lead and never quit. Just maintain the gap. And that's what Dylan Bates has done thus far. The racing heating up, though, from 3rd back to 5th. Almost a wall touch there. Garrett Kender right behind. Gets around Bigley. Could have had an opportunity to the inside in 3 and 4. Will stay stationary through this portion of the racetrack. We're going to get the run off of 4. Has the nose to the inside for 3rd. And on the move here. 4 spots gained now for the 13 truck. Speaking of Kender, or Kender JK Farm and Ranch pole sitter in the number 67. Starting to shape up on an island all by himself. As we look off the back of Eric Tracy. I believe that's Stephon Davis that just went by Jeremiah Holt for the 6th spot. We saw a caution-free event there last week for 130 laps. Are we going to go back-to-back on that? Massive gap back here to Jacob Bame. And the Sparkle Unicorn Racing 87 has just nominated himself for a paint award. So Garrett Kender up 5 now, on the move. Was able to save a little bit better than these guys up here in the top 5. Now cracks the top 3. Has the leader about 1.1 seconds away. seems to be getting on and off these corners better than everyone behind him. Not sure if he can catch up to Bates, though. That gap continues to grow up to 1.2 as they come out of turn 2. So you can see this truck becoming a handful as the run goes on. Eric Tracy, Cody Bame fading away a little bit here. And based off of this fuel, into the wall there for Tracy. No, actually that was Kinder up high. He's going to allow Tracy back to the inside. So now second on back. Right on top of each other. 60% fuel though. Only going to carry these trucks somewhere around lap 33. To see that window here as we see side by side. So within the next 10 laps, I would venture to say somebody's going to come down pit road. Trying to split this race into thirds, but I've been wrong before. Elliott Carlson proved me wrong last week at Richmond with that strategy call. Truck coming down pit road right here, or trying to, was the 6 of Tyler Rice. Lost control on the apron of the racetrack. Thinking back on the V-Speed instant replay here. Just got a little bit loose there. Salty South replay. I think he was attempting a pit road entry and just overshoots it a little bit here. And now back to the live shot. Tyler Rice is coming down the pit, but it's going to lose a ton of time. Was near the top 5. Going to end up a lap down after this green flag pit stop. 27 laps about to be completed off of turn 4. Dylan Bates, your leader. He's led 19 of the 27 complete. Now 20 laps. Eric Kinder in second position. He's been able to hold off Eric Tracy, continuing to lose ground to the leader. And then your pole sitter, right behind him in the 67. Was able to lead one lap here tonight. And there goes the 13 down pit road. Cody Bame also follows him in. A lot of trucks down pit road. We got 5 different drivers. Cofield in there as well. Oswald. I believe that's the 73 of Jeremiah Holt there, hitting the box now. And this might force the hand. It does, of Dylan Bates, Eric Tracy, Stephon Davis, and Corey Bigley. Brandon Wallace is going to stay out and get a lap led here. Scotty Bame coming back out on the racetrack now. And so a little bit earlier than I predicted for these green flag pit stops. Would have thought that they could go all the way to lap 33, but they're barely going to make it past lap 30. And this will finish out our pit cycle. For the first round of green flag pit stops, Brandon Wallace, last one down. Getting service in the 99. Garrett Kender, who short pitted Eric Tracy, finds himself in the lead. 91 of Dylan Bates. Problems on pit road. 1 minute in the lane. 15 seconds in the box. Let's see if we can go back on the instant replay, find out what happened to the 91. Salty South instant replay. There's the left side's going up now. And is this a hold penalty? It is not. We might have to rewind even further. And I see what happened here. The 91 of Dylan Bates ran himself out of fuel. So Bates makes a mistake. Fuel gauge a little broken here tonight. And he'll end up all the way back to 12th position. This race stays green. Garrett Kender, Eric Tracy, Cody Bame could all be locking themselves. They have an opportunity for that Final Four. A win and you're in situation for the 13. Kender actually not part of this round of 8. And you have Cody Bame, Bill Bates locked in. Eric Tracy, your pole sitter, sitting back in the second spot. It's a golden opportunity for these drivers. If they can capitalize, the race has to stay green, though. They do not want a caution to come out. That will put Dylan Bates right back into the mix of things, and he's proven that he can drive away from this field right now. A tall order to get back to it. Almost 14 seconds back from your leader. But don't go anywhere. We've concluded our first round of green flag pit stops. More coverage of the round of 8. Race number 2, right after this.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Back here live from Kansas Speedway, Garrett Kinder has the lead right now. He's about half a second ahead of Corey Bigley, who's been chasing him down. You've got a couple trucks in front of him here going back and forth to try to fight for the lead lap. That's Brandon Wallace and Jacob Boehm. They're about to go a lap down here if Garrett Kinder can figure out his way around them. And as this race has progressed, mistakes have been made. If you're a fan of Dylan Bates, he's worked his way back up to 7th spot. But unfortunately, ran himself out of fuel on the first round of green flag pit stops. Still a lot of racing left to be done here. To the inside of Cody Boehm. Boehm progressively has faded away as well. Right now, as it sits, your No Next Fast Repair Hard Charger goes to Garrett Kinder. Started back in the 7th position. Has some company, though, with Jeremiah Holt and Corey Bigley. Bigley just gets past there. That side-by-side continues. Battle for the lead right in front of the 28. A three-way battle for the lead across the tri-oval. Almost three wide again. Bigley's going to back out of it, but the 73 of Jeremiah Holt is going to go to the lead after starting in the 6th spot. So now the biggest move of the race is the 73, and just like that, 2 spots lost with the short pit strategy. Jeremiah Holt on this stint has pulled away from Bigley already half a second, and he's looking to put the 87, labeled as the 18, on your ticker. It's Jacob Boehm that's about to lose a lap. Dylan Bates trying to work his way back up here to the lead. Back into the top 5 now. Truck in the wall, that's the 13 of Garrett Kinder. Kinder not that far off from the stint of Jeremiah Holt, and maybe use this truck up a little bit sooner. Precious Tires up here in the top 5. Eric Tracy, Dylan Bates. Bates is on the move here. Impressively chasing down this front 3 by about 0.3 of a second here, 32.6. And Bates continues to go on his tear on the bottom now through 1 and 2. Cannot afford another mistake. Looking to see probably within the next 5 laps or so, based off the last fuel numbers. They're approaching 20 laps on this stint. They'll be sitting somewhere around 25. Only a handful of drivers were able to make it past that mark, and 31 laps there for Brandon Wallace. However, it did not pay off. A little bit slower down pit road and in the box. 17 seconds on the pit stop for the 99. But is in that free pass position if we get a caution. Jeremiah Holt has checked out, a full second ahead. Trying to capitalize on every moment of this. And what is going on here with Cody Bame? Started up in the top 5, has faded back to 7th. A third place starting spot, 6 laps led, was competing for the lead with Dylan Bates. After losing the lead for the second time, it's just been a downward spiral. Bame into the wall out of 2. The 09 of Carlson, who pulled off that top 3 last week. Maybe looking to play a little bit more strategy this time around. So much relies upon drivers and the critical errors that you could make. Self-inflicted wounds. We've seen that a lot this season with other drivers, and they're all going to stack up here in the playoffs. You can ill afford to have an off day. Thankfully for Dylan Bates, he is locked in. This could be one of those races that gets away from him rather quickly. We're approaching green flag pit stops again, right on that window. Bates just able to clear. Kinder gave him a little shot out of 4th. Thought maybe he was going to upset that truck. He does not, and Dylan Bates is going to set his sights on Corey Bigley. So trying to time this out. When do you want to come back down pit road? These drivers are pushing a little bit further than we did last time. See if they can make it to lap 70. That's about the only shot they have to make it to the end of this race. I do not foresee another 15 laps in the tank here for all these drivers. This is going to be the first one to blink, though. Tyler Rice, who missed pit road on the first round, looks like this time by a little bit better entry. Cody Bame also into the pits. So he will be the first of the top 10 drivers to come in. Pretty spread out, pretty quiet here at Kansas. Most of this passing is going to start happening on and off pit road. If you're Jeremiah Holt right now, you pray this race stays green in a prime position to get the victory here tonight. Holding it together just past the halfway mark. A flood down pit road. Sideways. Holt makes a mistake. They turn each other, and the 91 of Bates gets turned around on the entrance of pit road by Veith. And he's going to lose even more time. Here comes Carlson to take over the lead. So a mistake is made by Jeremiah Holt. Not what he needed here on and off pit road. If I'm the 09, I'm coming down this time around. Those drivers made huge mistakes on the entry to that pit stop. Salty South instant replay. Here comes this 73 this time by. Locks up the front tires, almost slides into the inside pit wall. And there's Veith in the 28 of Bigley trying to avoid it. Carlson comes in. 30 laps on the stint. That'll give the lead over to Brandon Wallace. Corey Bigley. Not sure if the 09 made a mistake here. Just on and off pit road a little bit faster. And the fall off on this racetrack somewhere around 2 seconds as Brandon Wallace will come down. So that gives the lead back to Garrett Kinder in the number 13. Bigley 1.5 behind. And for Kinder, this is an opportunity to get back on the same stint as some of these other drivers that pulled away from you. But you know that Jeremiah Holt has to be kicking himself. Surprisingly, Bates does not fall out of the top 5 after getting spun there on pit road. He's still in recovery mode as well. Well, an opportunity here. The sprinting best appearing paint award is going to go to Jacob Boehm. Try to get another look. Close up of the 87/18 on this field. Definitely sparkly rainbow unicorn barf. And rainbows shooting out the sides. But I love it. It's well designed, well done. Congrats on that. And now, the recovery continues. Bates on the bottom. There's Veith, who got into him on pit road right in front. Mike Veith has lost the lap to the rest of this field. 11 trucks still on the lead lap. Brandon Wallace, Mike Veith, and Jacob Boehm. All one lap down. Mark Cofield, the next one in line for this. Looks like Cofield has a little bit more ground. About 5 seconds separate him and Garrett Kinder. Eric Tracy starting to shave down that lead as well. Just shy of 2/3 of the way through this race. And I'm seeing quite a few drivers that won't be able to make it on fuel. Got to pay attention if anybody's going to try and stretch this run to the very end. It's a lot of fuel saving here. Right on board with the 91 of Bates. See if he's hitting the clutch going into one. A lot more lift than usual, but down to the bottom. Through 1 and 2. Cody Boehm is caught back up to the 91. To the inside now for 5th. Put the points battle back up on your screen. Two of the drivers that we were just watching race here. in that top 8. Bates definitely going to have the hard luck award, though. Started in second. Ran out of fuel on the first round of pit stops. Got turned down pit road the second round of pit stops. Complete opposite of what happened last week with a dominant performance. Only 21 laps led here today outside the top 5 for Dylan Bates. A little bit of contact there with the 09. Carlson's going to go by up to 6th spot now. A lap pressure tires on the 09. And if you're wanting to save that much fuel to make it to the end of this race, you would have had to committed to clutching this truck, coasting it through the corners, maybe even shutting off the engine to save as much as you can. If you did not commit to that from the very start of this run, pretty much zero chance at this point that you're going to be able to pull it off. I don't see anybody pulling this strategy. We know that Elliott Carlson is one of those drivers capable of doing so. That tells me that it is impossible to make it to the very end of this race, just based on the fact of how they're driving this. 30, 40 laps to go. Already 13 laps on the stint. Going to be a weird window of opportunity. 28 on the wall. Corey Bigley might lose a spot here for 4th. Cody Bame to the outside. Now to the inside through 3 and 4. Might lose 2 positions in one corner. Able to hold on to one of them. Bame's still not able to complete that pass. He will now, but has someone to the inside. As Elliott Carlson looks, and the 28 of Bigley gets loose. Still chasing it up the racetrack into the wall. Able to get it back underneath. So Bigley just makes another miscue here. Gets really loose off the exit of the corner. Checking back in with that track temperature. It's went up about 3 degrees since we started this race. Hasn't quite hit triple digits just yet. But the sun's not going down anytime soon. Would not be surprised to see a 102 up there by the end of this race. So just getting back into the swing of things. Still having some issues with overlays and trying to put all the pieces back together. Just a little bit rusty, and it's kind of like the hiatus these drivers took during that Christmas break. Talked to Dylan Bates there last week at Richmond, and it was off the couch, as he put it, his words, to describe how vacations can harm you. And you take a week off from iRacing service, you get rusty really quick. We're almost back to full form with Garrett Kender, Eric Tracy, Stephon Davis, Elliott Carlson, and Cody Bame, your top 5. Within the next 5 laps or so, we're going to see some drivers peel down pit road. Don't go anywhere. More racing will continue in the round of 8 from Kansas Speedway, live on V-Speed.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Back here live from Kansas Speedway, Garrett Kinder still your leader. One truck has parked it behind the wall. That's Jacob Boehm. 11 trucks still on the lead lap. Mike Veith and Brandon Wallace a lap down. Mark Ofield, the last truck, 27 seconds back. As Garrett Kinder comes up from 30 laps to go, he could make it to the end of this race if he pits now. We've seen it done. 30 laps seems to be about the max these drivers can go. How short do you want to pit it though? Intensity starting to pick up a little bit. Your pole sitter, Eric Tracy, 2.3 seconds back. And it's just a matter of time before we see the first driver onto the pits, forcing the hand of all these other trucks. I just wonder what that window of opportunity looks like for drivers like Dylan Bates, who have had nothing but problems on pit road tonight. Do you stretch this run as far as you can go and try to make up for it on fresher tires? 2 or 3 laps has been enough to separate the fall off back down to the 32, 33 second mark. And this time by, Dylan Bates will come into pit road. A long, slow pit road at that, but it sounds like getting close to fuel again here for the 91. Did not expect these drivers to have to make 3 stops here today, but if this race stays green, there could be another strategy call out here somewhere in the mix. Truck staying out. Garrett Kinder will put Dylan Bates a lap down. And as we said before, 2 seconds the difference here between Tracy and Kinder on board with a 67. This might be the opportunity for Eric Tracy to bring it in. He will not. Jeremiah Holt, who made that mistake, locking up the tires on the entrance. Side by side for the 7th position on Tyler Rice. Jeremiah Holt had a glimpse of the lead here today. What could have been without that mistake. I think Jeremiah Holt has top 3 speed. Just won't get the finish to reflect that. As we're sitting on 25 to go. Looking back here with Boehm down pit road. Jeremiah Holt also follows in. Bigley. There's your leader, Garrett Kinder. Elliot Carlson will now take over the point. Three laps led now for the 09. Got a taste of victory lane, was right there on the edge of it last week. And it looks like a holding penalty for Garrett Kinder. A mistake is made on pit road that holds the 13 in. Down and away now. And I take that back. I saw on my stint and my box time that he was still on the pit stall. Thought maybe they was having an issue, but unfortunately we were just behind a little bit here on this replay. That being said, Eric Tracy shaved down almost 2 seconds. It is on the move, has caught up to Kinder, is going to apply the pressure now. Brandon Wallace still out there on the racetrack, yet to pit. 26 laps on this stint for the 99. If you're Brandon Wallace, you're praying for a caution right now to put you in a better situation. You're at risk of going 2 laps down at this point. You have to be careful. Don't want to stretch this run too far. There's Brandon Wallace now. Looking back, off the back of Garrett Kinder to Eric Tracy. Is that byproduct I was telling you about earlier? So long as Garrett Kinder can take away that line from the 67, it'll be very difficult to even get a run. You can hear how much earlier Kinder is able to get back on the throttle, and that's because there's nothing in front of him. Looking here with Stephon Davis, Dylan Bates got around up to third, but has since went stagnant. Bates very tight off of turn 2. Here comes Stephon Davis for a look at the podium. To the inside in 3 and 4, the Miller Genuine Draft Machine will be in the top 3. Laps starting to tick away. Locked in for the 91. Good on points. Garrett Kinder not eligible for this playoff format. An opportunity to check in with some of your drivers that are eligible. Looking at one of them right now with Stephon Davis in the number 60 machine. Currently in the 3rd spot. You go up ahead of that driver that is most likely going to point his way into this, regardless of a win or not. It's Eric Tracy in the 2nd spot, following closely, closely to the back bumper of Garrett Kinder. Cody Beam back into the top 5. 78 was fading out at one point in this race, was as far back as 8th position. Here's some side-by-side now. The fourth spot, Bame's going to fall back. Not quite the slide job maneuver we saw earlier. Bates falls back to sixth. Continuing on to look for other drivers part of this top 8. Josh Oswald in the 8th position. Stephon Davis also in that mix. Elliot Carlson. A lot of racing left to be done, though. 15 laps to go. And this top 5 is still very much up for grabs. Is Eric Tracy saving something up? The last-ditch effort to try to win this race would just be the cherry on top before going to Bristol. A lot of drivers dreading that place. It's very easy to have a bad points day at a short track. And we're going to start off the round of 4 at the world's fastest half-mile oval in Bristol, Tennessee in 1 week's time. We still got to figure out who's going to get this victory. 0.3 of a second. Looks like Garrett Kinder maybe fades out a little bit. Could be in conservation mode. Back on board with the 67. Choosing a different line here through 1 and 2. And gets tight off the exit of the corner. Gives up all that ground. Garrett Kinder pulls away. Next closest truck is 7.6 seconds back. Caution-free 11 lead changes. And Garrett Kinder looking like he's going to wrap it up here. It will take something dramatic. That time out of 2, though. Tracy didn't have as much dirty air and was able to get a pretty decent run through the exit. Overall lap time for Garrett Kinder, a 32.311. Eric Tracy, 32.232. Just a tenth faster, and you can see it. Keep watching the left-hand side of your screen on that ticker. The lead dwindles down some more. Eric Tracy gets in the dirty air again here. Kinder running the low line through 3 and 4, giving plenty of air to that nose, but through the entry of that corner, overshot it a little bit. Seems like 1 and 2. Gonna do whatever it takes to take that line away. And into the wall almost again there. Eric Tracy just trying to hold on. 10 laps left. Just when you think it's wrapped up, the 67 would shave another 10th off. All you have to do is get the nose in there. Put that bumper to the inside, prevent that driver from running their line, and easier said than done once you get into that bubble at about 2/10 back. Eric Tracy has been experiencing that, and into the wall again. Four podium spots, 7 laps left. Elliot Carlson was up in the booth there last week, wants to do it again, trying to get by Stephon Davis. Davis playing that higher line. Track has continued to heat up all night long, 98 degrees. 95 when we started the session here today. A little bit of cloud cover there through 3 and 4. Might help these trucks hook up a little bit. If you're Eric Tracy right now, you want to stop losing ground to the guys behind you and just back these corners up. Kinder has proven clean air is king and has pulled away over a second. You can very easily mess up this finish and make a mistake, hit the pit wall. I've seen it all here at Kansas. One of my favorite racetracks to go to. But it does not breed clean passing. You have to force your way in there, and the 67 has just used it up. Was gaining again. Had it under 1 second. But a brief brush with the wall in 3. It's going to reset all of that progress and then some. 1.5. 1.5 seconds for Garrett Kinder, and 5 laps to go. At this pace, not seeing anyone contesting. Just has to bring it on home. Stephon Davis falls back to 4th. Luckily for this guy, locked in. Going into Bristol after the victory at Richmond. Dylan Bates just trying to get a top 5 day and turned out to be a disaster. Between the mistakes on pit road, a little bit off on pace here because of that pit road error. Weird spot to be in. It's frustrating as a driver. You can just see that you're running out of time. 3 laps left. Through 1 and 2. We'll get the 2 to go signal next time by. Seen drivers flirting with that wall all night, but if you can ride the seam just right into the entry of the corner, get back to the throttle just enough, it'll pull that truck down. White flag in the air, on board with your leader. Coming around to take the white flag, Garrett Kinder. 1.2 seconds ahead. Eric Tracy, Elliott Carlson, Stephon Davis, and Cody Bain on that top 5. One more time around here from Kansas. The final race in the round of 8. Garrett Kinder going to steal a win away from a championship hope. Led 61 laps here today. Capitalized on all the mistakes. And Garrett Kinder is going to bring it home to victory lane. Race number 13 from Kansas in the original Rebels Truck Series. Garrett Kinder is your winner. Caution-free race, 62 laps led. Started in 7th position. Biggest mover of the race. Ten trucks still on the lead lap here to finish this race out. And Elliott Carlson able to get back into the top 3. Eric Tracy goes by for a parade lap. And there's Garrett Kinder burning it down on the front stretch. Post-race interviews with your top 3. Don't go anywhere. Post-race coverage here on V-Speed, the Flexible Freight Solutions post-race show, right after this.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Back here live from Kansas Speedway. The original Rebels Racing League and their playoff format has narrowed it down to their final four after tonight. Can confirm that Dylan Bates and I want to guess here. Can confirm on Cody Bame and Stephon Davis. I'm going to guess here that Eric Tracy has enough after last week's finish. We'll have to get an official word on whether or not Stephon Davis will make it in here, but it's going to be close across the board. Final results up on your screen. 11 lead changes, 0 cautions. It treated to another clean race. It went long for 110 laps. Garrett Kender comes out on top after starting in the 7th position. Your pole sitter for tonight, Eric Tracy, gonna bring it home in 2nd position. Elliott Carlson rounding out that top 3. We'll have a word with them in just a moment. Stephon Davis will finish in 4th. Cody Bame in 5th. Corey Bigley in 6th position. Josh Oswald in 7th. 8th spot goes to Tyler Rice with Dylan Bates falling all the way back to 9th after leading about 20 or so laps. Could not recover from the errors on pit road. Jeremiah Holt in the number 73 also led some laps. He too had a mistake on pit road, and he'll round out your top 10. 4 more trucks to talk about. These trucks a lap down or more. Brandon Wallace will finish in 11th spot. 12th goes to Mike Veith. Mark Cofield in 13th position. And then it's Jacob Bame who has an early exit to this race, starting from 11th and 14th. And so with that, we bring you your drivers that finish in the top 3. Let's get the first one up here to be your 3rd place finisher, Elliott Carlson. And Elliott, I tell you what, the last week's race had strategy involved. You did what nobody else could do to get up there to the top 3, but here tonight, it was just a matter of mitigating the mistake. I think everybody had to run the same strategy, and you just did it clean enough here to get your way into the top 3.
Yeah, that was kind of the game plan, is just no mistakes, racing around people, and clean entrance and exit on the pit road. And that first run there, right, we had to, at some point in time in the run, we had to choose to take fuel without tires. So I did that early and just tried to stretch that as long as possible. So if I needed to at the end, I could push and not have to worry about saving fuel or tires.
Well, it looked clean. You kept it off the wall. A great finish for you. I know that the points here for the final 4 aren't confirmed just yet, but I know that the points totals coming into today, they were really tight, and that's how it is with the playoff format. You came out here and started performing in these last 2 races.
Yeah, couple good tracks for me. That kind of helps. And then just keeping it clean, right? Keeping it consistent. I know earlier in the season, kind of had some obligations to other things, so I missed some races, but made sure to show up here.
Well, with that, another podium finish. You're up here in the broadcast booth, and I know there's a lot of people that back you up throughout this season, and those obligations you were speaking of. Go ahead and shout some of those people out.
So I'd like to thank my fiance in the background for being productive while I'm doing this. And then all the guys at Velocity Motorsports, enjoy racing with them. They're a good group of guys just to hang out with, very inclusive. And then I'd also like to thank Kinder Farm and Ranch, No Next Fast Repair, Salty South Weather, Flexible Freight Solution, Beast 3D Printing, and then you, Bradley. I'd like to thank you also for at V-Speed.
Is that Chuck Feltz on the side of that truck?
Yeah, so I got Chuck Feltz on the side. I got Rick Rube on the bumper, and then I got Dylan Bates on the hood.
Well, that's pretty awesome. I just noticed that Chuck just flexing there behind the 09. I like it. That's well placed and always good to see a very distinguished paint scheme out there on the racetrack and a distinguished finish. Congratulations, and hopefully we'll get that final points total and see your name up there in that final 4 at Bristol.
Sounds good. Thanks, Bradley, and talk to you next week, hopefully.
Elliot Carlson, 3rd place finisher here tonight from Kansas. We'll move on to your pole sitter and 2nd place finisher. It's Eric Tracy in the number 67. Eric, I know that it's getting frustrating. This is, I believe, the 4th or 5th time that you've gotten a pole in the races that I've been covering or been a part of, and just one short here tonight. How frustrating is it to have speed in qualifying, but then just kind of like losing it there when it counted right at the start of the race?
Yeah, I mean, I knew we were going to have to double stint a set of tires, so I was trying to save a little bit, and they tend to, Kinder and Bates and them guys are a little bit better at saving tires than I am, so I typically try to drop back at the beginning and try to make it back up at the end, but just didn't work out this time. I needed to get around Kinder on that last pit stop and try to put him in dirty air, but I didn't quite make it.
When we started this race off, it kind of went, side by side right out of the gate. And this track is notorious for migrating to the high line. Did you know that the situation would warrant that, running the bottom long enough could save tires? Was there any kind of mentality or testing that went into that line?
No, not really. I mean, generally it's just, especially longer in the running the bottom, you're not on the throttle quite as hard as you run around the top. So it does tend to help kind of save the right front a little bit. So just kind of using that method to try to get the tires to last a little longer.
Well, then finally, we got to talk about this final 4. You come in here with the pole, you get a top 3. It's going to be really, really tight here. I don't have an official list of names, but I know that Dylan Bates is locked in after that win last week at Richmond, and you're up there towards the top of this board as well. I think this might be just good enough to get you in there.
Yeah, I think so. I think I was 3rd coming into this race, so getting a 2nd out of this should be enough to go ahead and get me through. And then I think we're at Bristol next week, and who knows what can happen there. So it's kind of a little short track, high bank short track. It can go great or it can go bad. So
for sure, the world's fastest half-mile oval is always notorious for putting on a shakeup in the points. But Eric, I know you got people behind you and putting this truck out here on this racetrack. Go ahead and shout those guys out.
Yeah, just all the VMS guys. We fun group to run with, and then Tyler and Brandon and Cody and the guys that put on the league and help you guys broadcast, and it's a pretty cool deal. So it's fun to be part of.
Appreciate your time coming up here in the booth with me, Eric Tracy, most likely part of that final 4 and in the top 3 here tonight at Kansas. We'll see you at Bristol in 1 week's time.
All right, appreciate it.
And with that, we bring a driver that we've talked to before in Victory Lane, Garrett Kinder in the number 13. How does it feel to be back in Victory Lane for 1? And for 2, I got to ask, how nervous were you when you lost the lead there? And then just before that 2nd round of green flag pit stops, the guy that took the lead away from you makes a mistake. How alleviating was that?
Man, it was nice. It was a big tire strategy game. So I knew that those guys had already taken their because we had to do, I think, 3 stops, only had 2 sets of tires. So they took them on the first stop, and I didn't, and so I was actually surprised I hung on as long as I did up there. Uh, but then it was kind of funny. They got around me, and I think they both went into a saver mode because they didn't. I mean, I think it was whoever was in the lead. They pulled out pretty good, but Bigley he went into saver mode, and I kind of kept him in sight. So it was alleviating knowing that the tire strategy was going to play out in my favor, and I was the first guy on that strategy. But it was sure nerve wracking having that dirty air get back in front of me.
Yeah, and this track just terrible. Once you get in the tire tracks of a car or a truck in front of you, you have to run that single groove up near the wall deep in this run. And so I think it was frustration maybe sinking in. I saw some wall touches there from the 13, and a few other drivers followed you up there. How tough was it to be behind somebody and not hit that wall?
Oh, it was terrible. You push on entry where you're having to stay completely out of throttle and just pray the front grips up. And then if it does, as soon as you get back in throttle, you're up there already at the very top, so it's going to rotate and you're going to tail tap. So it was frustrating having somebody in front of you. There was a couple times where I just kind of lifted off and give me some air between the two of us so that we'll fight this another day. But it was fun nonetheless. I love running high line just about anywhere I can. It's always entertaining, but it was just fun all day today.
J.K. Kinder Farm and Ranch number 13 puts it in victory lane. Anybody you want to shout out for tonight's performance?
Yeah, I thank everybody in the league. Thank all the drivers here tonight. Had a few wrecks that no yellows got thrown, so I'm pretty fortunate for that. For the way the strategy played out, that's kind of what I needed. So shout out to everybody that came out and raced tonight. Thanks to Kinder Farm and Ranch. Thanks to my wonderful, wonderful wife that lets me come and hang out with the guys on Sunday nights and do some racing. Ratchet Speed Shop, Big Freak and Cross 5 cattle coolers, all the guys over at Velocity Motorsports. Teammate guys that, I used to run Reaper Racing over here. I think Brandon Wallace still has the Reaper Racing stuff on his truck. So shout out to Brandon, also for him running league, all the guys that run the truck series. I think it's Cody and Tyler. And thank you up in the booth. Just always having a good time come out here and just trophy hunting. Maybe next season I'll get in and try and contend for a championship, but just good to get out here to get some wins.
Well, I see that banner up there on the windshield of that truck, and that's another name that comes to mind that V-Speed has been a part of and looking to do that as well. So I'm sure we haven't heard the last of you here in the broadcast booth. Appreciate your time, though, and go enjoy this trophy, and we'll see you hopefully at Bristol.
All right, sounds good, Part. Thanks.
So there you have it. We've concluded and narrowed it down to our final four. Can confirm that Eric Tracy and Dylan Bates are in that, but we have to get the other two names officially. They'll be posted in Discord. I'm sure that we'll get that information soon and have it ready for you in 1 week's time. So tune in next week when we go to the world's fastest half-mile oval, Bristol Motor Speedway. It's the last great Coliseum. We'll see you there at 9 p.m. Eastern Time next Sunday night. The original Rebels Racing Truck Series, presented by Golden, Suzuki, Honda, Kawasaki, Yamaha, KTM. This is Bradley Cooper telling you to have a great rest of your weekend. And if you're an Eagles fan, congratulations on your wild card victory. We knew the Bills were going to beat the Broncos. Moving on to next week in the NFL. For everybody of E-Speed, Adam Baker in the background, our other producers, Eddie Smith, Morgan Cook, Logan Threlkeld, DJ Lyon. This is Bradley Cooper telling you so long from Kansas. Stay tracking.